What's up, guys? I'm Joe. Today I'm talking about the new Fall Out Boy album, Mania. So Fall Out Boy is back. This is their seventh studio album, Mania. An album that seems to have fans and critics and just about anyone kind of torn, which it seems like just about everything nowadays has people torn. It's certainly an album that had my interest piqued because the first two singles that came off of this thing, Youngin Menace and Champion, were met with a lot of backlash. I mean, personally myself, I still think those are the weakest songs on the record, which stands to say that I do think some of the stuff on here is actually pretty good. But those two songs, especially Young and Menace, saw the band really diving into a weird electronic, dubsteppy, I guess, kind of sound, which was very unexpected and not so welcomed by the fan base. Personally, I think Young and Menace could be a pretty good song. I kind of like what's going on in the verses. I like the kind of minimal sound and the build up to it. Apart from some bad lyrical moments, such as the now almost infamous "Oops, I Did It Again" reference. But the problem is, once that chorus hits, again, something that I think could be kind of cool if it was just played straight, but between the high-pitched vocals, any higher, I think only dogs would be able to hear them, and all of the mixing and the reversing and the glitching and all that kind of stuff. It just makes it very hard to listen to. Champion I thought was a step up, but just a song that I found kind of boring. It reminded me of some of the stuff they had been doing on the previous album, American Beauty, American Psycho, an album that I didn't think was anything too outstanding. And I thought it was a step in the wrong direction coming off of Save Rock and Roll. I actually really enjoyed that album. I would consider it one of my favorite Fall Out Boy albums. Just because, I had kind of grown up listening to them. From Under the Cork Tree came out in that pinnacle middle school time. So it was a band I always liked, and then I didn't really care for as I got into metal music, and I thought it was too cool for it. I soon realized that was stupid, and everything could coexist, and you could just like what you like. But that being said, I was never too glued to that old Fall Out Boy sound. So when Save Rock and Roll came out and it kind of used these pop influences, I actually thought it was pretty good, and I thought they struck a nice balance of using the rock kind of stuff and the pop kind of stuff, making some really catchy songs out of it. And overall, I still think that's a pretty great record. But as I said, the next one, American Beauty, American Psycho, kind of a step in the wrong direction for me, except for some sort of standout moments on there. And then I was afraid after those two singles came out from Mania. But that being said, there's quite a lot of decent stuff on here. What seems to be the consensus about this album is that it feels disjointed. It feels like a bunch of different albums combined. I won't harp on that too much. That seems to be a lot of people's problem with it. Personally, I kind of am happy about that because I feel like before the album was delayed, we were going to get an album full of Young and Menace and Champion sounding songs. And it seems like for the most part they either revamped them or rewrote stuff or changed songs. Whatever they did, those EDM kind of vibes going on in there don't really encompass the rest of the album. And personally, I like the songs where they kind of accent it as opposed to taking over it. The intro, Stay Frosty Royal Milk Tea, has a lot of aggression, a lot of big guitar sounds in there. One of the more upbeat tracks on the album. Really kind of gets in your face, but you kind of feel that electrical buzz down below, but it doesn't take over the song. It kind of just adds to it. The next track, The Last of the Real Ones, one of my personal favorites on here, does the same kind of thing. There are electronic sounds in here, but they're just adding to the sound. It kind of, works more as an instrument in the course of the whole band rather than being the main focus. I think it's a strong song all the way through. I like the verses. I like the piano-driven parts there. And I love when they break into the chorus. It's just, boom, so much energy. What really sold me on that song when it came out as a single was a live performance that's kind of floating around YouTube. Just someone in the crowd took it. It's not official or anything. But Patrick just has so much energy, and there seems to be a lot of passion in this song for them, which I like to see, and it definitely shows. Unlike, again, you don't want to harp on it too much, but Young and Menace, I mean, you can kind of just see when they perform this song that they're, not too into it. I mean, look at when they did it on Jimmy Fallon, Patrick and Pete just look like, well, that's that, I guess. I guess we're stuck with this one. There's just so much more energy on some of these either newer or revamped tracks. Hold Me Tight or Don't, it's alright. It has a bit of a Latin sort of flair to it. It's a little stiff in regards to what it's trying to accomplish genre-wise, but overall I think Patrick kind of sells it pretty well. I mean, his vocal performance on this album is actually really solid overall. And I also kind of just like the attitude of it, the Hold Me Tight or Don't thing. And he kind of harkens back to a younger, snarkier Fall Out Boy that I think, even though I really like Save Rock and Roll, I think at times has been forced in the later part of their career. But there are some lines here or there on this album that kind of capture that youthful spirit in a way that's not too forced. But I mean, other moments such as, the "Are you smelling that shit" on "Stay Frosty" don't work all that well. So lyric-wise, kind of hit or miss. Wilson, "Expensive Mistakes," another favorite of mine on here. It takes sort of like a indie vibe to it. I'm a big fan of any time that kind of major to minor thing is used. And what I'm talking about is right before the chorus goes into the full swing. The "If I Can Get My Shit Together" part, leading right into that, the way the chord kind of changes. I'm always a fan of that. It's just a thing that I like. And Wilson provides another anthemic type chorus that's kind of samey for what Fall Out Boy has been doing the last couple of albums, but I think it just works well. You're getting more of the sense of like the band playing on this one. And again, the electronic stuff kind of accenting but not overtaking. Church, which closes out the first half on the physical version. Another big standout for me. I like the choral kind of arrangements going on. I think it's like different. I think it's interesting. I like the kind of soulful vibe that this and Heaven's Gate both have. I don't know why they both have like kind of religious connotations. It's kind of weird to back do something similar like that. But I mean, otherwise, I think it's interesting. The songs play out fairly well, and Church is another one where Patrick's vocals, really killing it on there. Really like what's going on with the verses. It has a nice driving force to it. And as I mentioned, Heaven's Gate, another pretty good one. It has like a 50s pop swingy kind of feel to it, which I think works fairly well. Then, unfortunately, on the physical edition, it's just a run of 3 songs that I really don't like. As I mentioned, Champion, Youngin Menace, but also the Sunshine Riptide song. I guess going for a reggae type of vibe, I mean, obviously with the feature that's on here, but it's just very messy sounding. It just feels like there's so much going on. And the fact that these 3 are kind of clumped together in the physical version, really takes away from the last song, Bishop's Knife Trick. By the time I get there, I just like, ugh, I don't know what to say more. But yeah, I mean, overall, not really a terrible album. I just think there's nothing particularly special on it. Like I said, some standouts. Last of the real ones, Church, Wilson. I definitely like a handful of the songs on here. So overall, better than I expected, and I think better than a lot of people are giving it credit. I kind of feel about this album how I did about Pacific Daydream with the recent Weezer album, which, again, sort of poppy influences and just kind of like good, okay songs. The hooks get stuck in your head. It's something you could throw on and listen to for the most part, but just nothing particularly outstanding. So I'm feeling a 3 out of 5 in this one, kind of like a light 3. You didn't want to give it a 2.5. I don't think it's that bad. So like a 3 out of 5 I'm feeling. So yeah, let me know what you think of the album in the comments, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.